Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Okay, so let me start with my intro first. So my name is Rohan, and I will be giving you the training with reference to the FortiGate Firewall. And the entire course is going to be designed with reference to the certification as per NSE 4 and 7. Okay, so let me just give you a brief as in what is going to be covered into our courses and all. And then we will discuss about the labs and timings and also a small topic to start with. Okay. Okay, so I just need just give me confirmation whether you are able to see the screen or not. Just need to go through onto it. Visible? Okay, is my audio going?
Yes, sir, it's okay.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, so let's start. So why FortiGate Firewall, right? Why we have to go with the FortiGate Firewall? So the reason behind that is because FortiGate Firewall is one of the leading NGFW firewall in the market. And the Gartner reports speak for itself, right? So it clearly states that FortiGate Firewall is in the top, okay, as in leader. Now this is not with reference to the year 2022, that too of a December report, which is the latest one. But you can also see in the past as well for the SD-WAN also the FortiGate Firewall has been marked as an best. Okay, if you see with reference to the year 2021, the end, okay, you will see that the Fortinet has been the best or preferred choice to go through for any company who falls under enterprise. That means the big giants. Okay, you can call it Meta, Google, or likewise companies. Okay, similarly for medium businesses, okay, they are referring Fortinet as in best. Okay, and for small scale businesses, the first choice is for Fortinet. And this is not something which is being flashed with reference from the company sales point of view, but it is something which is it's like Gartner report. Okay, so this is a public based report where you can find where your device stands to. Okay, so saying that since this product is in high demand, so of course there is a huge gap of a skill set required in order to manage this device, right? So if you bridge that gap, if you are able to learn how to manage, how to configure, how to troubleshoot the issues related to the FortiGate Firewall, that is going to enhance your skill and add a weight to your CVs as compared to learning any other devices, products for that matter. Okay, so saying that, for whom this course is designed for whom, right? So if you have the basics of networks, you understand the concepts of OSI model. If I say that, okay, this is a layer 3 device, layer 2 device, if you understand that term, ARPs, if I say that, okay, there is a PC with reference to 192.1 as an IP, I'm just taking an example. Okay, let us take the complete octet. Okay, so 192.1.1.1 connected to different PC 192.1.1.2. How does it ping? Do you know what's the L3 information that will be added as an IP? In the L2, what will be added? How the packet is routed? Basics. If you know that, this course is for you. Okay, because I am going to use these terms frequently. I'm going to use L3, L2 device, ARP, okay, GR, MAC addresses, layer 2 informations, Ethernet headers. So these terms I will be using. One more thing. Are you comfortable with subnetting? Of course, we do not need to go into much in depth, okay? But what I am hoping is that if I'm writing this IP 1.1/24, and if I say that, hey, how many are usable IPs in this, or what is the network ID for this network? So what it is, if this is the subnet, 192.168.1.0, which is your network ID, and your broadcast ID will go as high as up to 1.255, and whatever remains between this, that is from 1.1 till 1.254, that is your host IP. That means usable, something which you can use onto your systems and all, right? So do you understand the subnets basics? Okay. If yes, this you will not find any challenges while going through this module or through the entire course itself. Okay, clear? So that's minimum requirement that you should be having. Basics of networks, that's all, nothing more. You do not need to, okay, you are not someone who is like good in OSPF, BGPs, routings, fundamentals and all. You are not comfortable with some SSL handshake or some sort of any kind of an protocols and all. That doesn't matter. Why I am saying that? Because whatever the concept that we will pick up, okay, anyhow we are going to start it from the scratch. Okay, so most of the basics will be touched, will be discussed, will be explained by me. Okay, so whatever the doubts you may be having onto those kinds of things, that how does the TCP functions, UDPs, and likewise whatever the protocol that there is. So we will be having a fair amount of thought onto that. Okay, now see here, the this course is designed in order to complete the entire NSE 4 and 7 content, okay, in a single go. How we have clubbed two certification courses into a single module is because, let me be clear onto that part, that what is the expectation of a certain certification. So the point is, whenever you are going to attempt the NSE 4, and let's say you have cleared that and NSE 4. So what does this prove? So if you say that, hey, I am an NSE 4 certified. So this tells that you are someone who is capable to manage, configure, and do the basic troubleshooting. That is what this certificate proves. Okay, and this is why the questions that you will be getting in with reference to the NSE 4 will be based upon scenarios. It will like test your config skills. It will not ask you to do the configuration. Rather, it will share some screenshots with reference to the config, based upon which a certain scenario will be mentioned, to which you have to choose what is the best possible answer to that. Okay, that's how this course is. Whereas if you say that I also carry the certification for NSE 7, so that proves, or that tells that you can not only manage or configure or just like do the basic T-shoot, but you also know the inside out of the FortiGate firewall functioning. That means it's not that you have simply created a policy to allow a traffic, but you exactly know how does a received packet is matching that specific policy. What is going inside the firewall? What are the things that the firewall is doing behind the scene? Okay, so you know the inside out. That's the in-depth knowledge. Okay, so that is what these two certifications prove. Now, coming to the content part, if you see for the NSE 4, okay, now see the contents here. The contents is like, first of all, we will start with the basics, like to know how the device, right? We will understand how the device is designed, what is the architect of the device. Anyhow, the architect is also the part of the NSE 7 as well, but to mention that, okay, so we will be discussing that what that firewall is. Okay, if I have got a new box, what to do with that, right? So let us first know our device. That is the first thing, first step. Okay, then we will see several features into it. Likewise, discuss the concepts of security fabric. Okay, how does the firewall policies work? NATing. When I say NAT, that means SNAT as well as DNAT. Okay, the complete NATing. Okay, whatever that is supported into the FortiGate firewall, we will be discussing it thoroughly with examples and also see it in the lab. Okay, firewall authentication as in terms of administrative. Okay, how you will be managing your firewalls and all. Okay, how you will be integrating your FortiGate firewall with the LDAP, radius, single sign-on. Okay, so we will see to that. I will show you the examples. It's very easy with reference to FortiGate firewall, right? Because we are not the guys who is going to manage or like deploy the LDAP or like radius. Those things has to be taken care by the Windows guys. What we have to do is we have to know how I can integrate my FortiGate firewall to the other authentication servers. Okay, that may be your DC, AD, LDAP, radius, whatsoever. Okay, now, of course, how to record the logs and how to see that. Okay, how to make a sense of out of it. Logging is very important because that is the point which will tell us that is my configuration really working? What I was supposed to achieve, did I got that or not, right? So your logs will tell where is what going wrong. Okay. Certificate operations. Of course, this is a security firewall. So of course, we cannot miss the certificates. So how does the firewall makes a use of the certificates? Where all are the use cases where you can use these certificates and what is its behavior? Okay. These are your UTM features. That means unified threat management. Here you are only seeing 4, that is web filtering, APS, application control, antivirus, and IPS, right? So apart from that, there are few other mentions as well, like DNS filter, video filter, file filter. Okay, so these are also other UTM features which we will be discussing. Okay. VPN in terms of SSL as well as with reference to IPsec VPN. Okay, so both VPNs will be discussed. Now, in terms of routing, we will be discussing about a static, PBR, that is policy-based routing, OSPF, and BGP. Okay, so these types of routes we will be discussing, and like we will try to learn onto these concepts. Okay, now please note, with reference to OS and BGP, like I mentioned, that the focus of the NSE 4 and 7 is not to test that whether you are aware of a certain routing protocol or a certain protocol behavior or not. That's not the point. The certification aim is to check, to validate whether you are capable to function, manage, configure, troubleshoot onto the FortiGate firewall. Okay, that means when there will be no questions like, okay, what are the states of OSPF? What are the messages of OSPF? On which port does the OSPF function? Nothing like that. Okay. The questions will be related to route manipulation. Okay, that there is a customer A who is running the OSPF with his neighbor so and so. He learned routing related to 172.10 network and 192. He is willing to receive or accept only 192 network into his routing table. What should be the possible solution to that? Option A, option B, option C, like that. Okay, so they have given you a situation. Okay, and then they want you to achieve a certain task. So that is how they will check your knowledge. So saying that, in terms of OSPF and like BGP, of course, I will be starting from scratch, discussing the states and like messages. That is something which we will not be missing it. But my main focus would be to make you understand the route manipulation. Okay, this is what everyone would be working, no matter which company that you are deployed on. Okay, this is the real challenge when we are dealing with the routing. PGP neighborship is down, OSPF is stuck in a two-way state. Those things those things are not a big deal. Okay, more or less it's almost the same solution every time. Okay, that's not the big deal. The big deal is route manipulation, where your customer will say that, hey, as per my BGP, I see that my network 172.16.0.0/16 is reachable via the port 2 WAN interface. But I want that the IPsec VPN tunnel, which I have configured, that should be acting as the primary outgoing interface. Can you please help me on to that? Right, so that means you have to manipulate the BGP routing. That is what the main challenge is. Okay, so we will try to focus on to that part as well. Now, saying that, the other notable mentions is like concepts of VDOM. Okay, this is a license feature. Okay, but we will be going through what is the VDOM, how you will be working on a VDOM setup and all. So we will be touching all those points. SD-WAN, clustering, HA means cluster. Okay, so how you will form the cluster of the FortiGate firewall, right? In the active mode, active passive mode. So how does it it's like how you will do the config, how does the packet behave into that? Okay, what is the flow of the packet? What is the change when you say that this is a active cluster or this is an active passive setup? Okay, so what is the change into that? Proxies in terms of inspection, how does it function? We will also see that. And of course, diagnostics means T-shoot. Okay, so we will also try to build up a sense at how we can T-shoot or solve the issues or at least narrow it down to a certain point. Okay, now saying that, just have a quite thorough look on to these topics. This is with reference to NSE 4, right? Now let me quickly jump to NSE 7. See this is NSE 7 topics. NSE 7 topics. See again, security fabric, architecture, that means nothing but the introduction part. Okay. Traffic and session monitoring, that means he's talking about the debugs as well as you can count it in the logs as well. Okay, session logs, how you will read it. Okay, so that's a new pointer that I will add. Okay, routing is also mentioned in NSE 4, FortiGuard, HA, OSPF, BGP, web. These things are your, IPS and web filter are your UTMs, right? IPsec VPN, this is another form of the VPN, which is often called as hub and spoke. Okay, Cisco guys would call it as DM VPN. Okay, so here we call it as an AD VPN and SD-WAN. So you see the content of NSE 7 and NSE 4. It's the same, right? Except from one or two topics like auto discovery, AD VPN. It's the same. Yes or no? So that is why we have clubbed this module in order to cover NSE 4 and 7 in a single go. The reason behind that is because if we are going to start a topic, why not to end it with a complete extent as far as it goes, right? Why to leave it to a half information? So with reference to NSE 4, let me tell you an example, okay, to make it very, very clear. Let's say I am telling you about web filter. Okay, this is one of our UTM features, so I'm telling you about that. So if I tell you simple that, okay, fine, if you want to block any website, just simply do the configuration as in so and so way. Okay, and this is where the logs are recorded, where you can verify whether it is stopping the traffic or not. Done. This is what you need to know if you have the knowledge up to NSE 4. That's all. Okay, but if I tell you the functioning of this, how does the web filter functions? If you are sending a traffic and it is stopping it, what did the firewall see into it? Right? So there is a client hello coming. So in that packet, what did the firewall saw? Based upon which the firewall concluded that it's the traffic for this website which I have to block. So what is the internal functioning? If I add this, that will the entire thing will become NSE 7 knowledge. Clear with the sense of an idea what is the difference, right? But the topics are same, right? In the NSE 4, you are also learning the web filter, 7 also the web filter. Okay, so that's why we have clubbed this. Clear? Any doubts with reference to the course content modules before I move further? Okay, I think no, nothing. Okay, fine. Okay, let me show you the lab. Of course, we will be doing a lot of labs in here as well. Let me share my screen with reference to the labs. Okay. Let me know once my screen is visible. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Now see, this is the lab. Okay, so once you enroll into the course, everyone will get their respective email where the URL and your username and password will be mentioned, which you will be using to log in into your lab. Okay, and what I'm seeing on the screen, the same thing will be visible to you as well. Okay, now let me show you. So we have different labs, as in like basics lab where we will be doing a lot of things, most of the things here. Okay, your cluster lab. So if we are on the setup for the HEs and all, we will be doing our lab onto this part. AD VPN lab, okay, that is hub and spoke. We will be doing on to here. Okay, you can also do your labs with reference to OSPF or like BGP in the same manner. Okay, so there are different labs that has been created. Now let me show you with reference to so you have to simply click onto it, open it. Okay, like this is the BGP lab what you are seeing. Okay, let me show you the basics as well. So this is the basics lab. Okay, so this is the PC, Cisco routers, FortiGate Firewall. So we will know that how to bring up our basics in order to get the access of the FortiGate Firewall, and then we will continue with the course. Okay, now with reference to the labs, okay, troubleshooting will always be done in terms of CLI. Configuration, more or less, I will be doing onto the GUI or like CLI in a mixed way. Okay, so you can think like 40 to 60 ratio. Okay, config part. But if it comes to troubleshooting, 100% on the command line. That's the motive. Okay, the more you do, the more you practice with the labs and all, better you will get with the command line. Okay, now saying that, as far as the lab activity or the task goes, there will be no task given which is not done by myself. Okay, so whatever the topic that we will touch, we will try to replicate that in the lab. I will show you how it is done, what are the logs, how to like verify it, debug it, all the things inside and out, and then you can just try to do it by your own. If you're stuck at any point of time, every session is recorded. Okay, so you will have your own respective portal where you can re-watch the videos anytime that you want. But still, if your doubts is not cleared, you can ask me anytime in the class. Okay, fine. Clear with the content and the lab?
Yes.
Okay. Now, saying that, say this batch is going to be a weekdays batch, okay, where the class will be going officially for 2 hours. But if you want me to extend beyond that, I'm happy to do so. Okay, so no time crunch onto that. No rushing in order to complete the batch or like courses, not at all. At any point of time, how slow you want to go, how speed you want to go, it entirely depends onto the batch. Now, saying that, the mode of communication for the classes will be English, common language, okay? Unless everyone, if everyone agrees that, okay, fine, we all are comfortable in other language like Hindi. I only know 2 languages, okay? English and Hindi. So if everyone is okay with Hindi and you want me to explain or like rephrase my thoughts with reference to the Hindi language, I'm also capable to do that. Okay? So I will be doing it, okay? But it's solely upon the batch. If a single students point out that he is not okay with the other language and he is comfortable with English, the entire course will go in the English medium only. Okay, mode of communication, English, strictly. Clear? Clear? Okay. Now, saying that, let's start something, right? Let's start a small topic. Any topic that you want me to start, basics, something like that? You want to know something? Let me. Okay, or like, shall I start with FortiGate architecture? Do you guys want to understand what is the design of the FortiGate firewall? Modular design? Okay, let's start with that. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay, ask your questions anytime that you feel like, okay? So I will just discuss a small architect concept with reference to the FortiGate firewall. Okay, the much more in depth will be discussed when we are into the batches. Okay, officially into the batch class. Okay, so this is just a demo. So let me share my screen. The screen is visible. Screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So to begin with, your FortiGate firewall, okay? Your FortiGate firewall is the NGFW firewall. Now, when someone said that, hey, this device is an NGFW, or someone asked that, hey, have you worked on an NGFW device? I'm like, not sure how to answer that. Do I know what is the definition of NGFW? See, officially, as per the network security domain, officially, any device which is capable to give you the functionality of IPS, that firewall will be referred as next gen firewall. In short, NGFW. Clear? Makes sense? So if your firewall is capable to provide the functionality of IPS, then your device is called the NGFW firewall. Okay. Needless to mention, like you might have seen or heard of the legacy devices like Juniper Net Screen that was not capable to give you the IPS. It's not an NGFW device. Cisco ASIC is one of a legacy device which is not capable to give you that. Now, someone would say that no, I have seen that feature. So you have seen that feature with reference to Cisco ASA because Cisco has bought another third-party IPS appliance or like company itself, and that is what it is integrating it with the ASA. Okay, so ASA is not an NGFW device in a true sense. Okay, but your FortiGate firewall is your like Palo Alto checkpoints. So such and devices, so forth. Okay, these are because they gives you the functionality of IPS. Now saying that, see, your firewall, FortiGate, can operate in two modes, saying that NAT mode and transparent mode. It can operate in two modes. What does this mean? NAT mode means that your firewall will be acting as a layer 3 device, and transparent mode means that your firewall will be acting as a layer 2 device. Now, what does this mean? Layer 3 device or like layer 2 device, or in like general term? Okay, I'm like talking in terms of a general view. Hey, my router is a layer 3 device, or my like packet is going through a layer 2 device. So when someone makes that as a statement, what he wants to say, layer 3 or like layer 2 device means that it's all about forwarding decisions. Forwarding decision. Please note, if your device is taking the forwarding decision based upon layer 3 header. Layer 3 header means IP header. Like layer, I believe OSI model is clear. Layer 3 and layer 2, layer 4. Network layer, layer 3. Right? So in that network layer, the major protocol is IP header. So in the IP header, what is mentioned? Source IP and destination IP. So if your firewall or if your device, for that matter, is deciding as how to send the packet out based upon the layer 3 information, that is destination IP, then such a device will be called as layer 3 device. Okay. But if you're forwarding this decision, that means your device is deciding that, okay, I have got this packet and I am going to send out this packet from this interface based upon layer 2 header. What is layer 2 header? Ethernet, right? Ethernet header. That means MAC addresses. So if the forwarding decision is based upon MAC addresses, not the IP, then such a device is called layer 2 device. Okay, so when someone says that it's a layer 3 device or it's a layer 2 device, please understand that he's simply trying to say that the device is forwarding the packets based upon layer 3 information or layer 2 information. That's all. That's what he's saying. Clear with these two terms? Basics. Clear?
Clear. I do have one question.
Yeah, please.
In reference to, you said for the FortiGate to be considered a next generation firewall.
Yep.
Does it have to have IPS and IDS or only IPS?
IPS.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now see, IPS is the advanced form of IDS. Okay. So IDS is mostly for logging, where it cannot take the actions, whereas the IPS can do the logs as well as take the actions. Okay. So
Gotcha. Thank you.
It's like more or less it's an IPS. Okay. IDS is now obsolete.
Okay.
Okay. Now, saying that, let's have a quick modular structure. Okay. So FortiGate Firewall is a very simple architectural design. Okay. It's just based upon modules. Each module is meant to perform a specific task. Okay. So these modules are very less CPU and like memory intensive processes. Okay. They will not use or like give a very high load onto your CPU or like memory, because no matter how high configurations of the device that you may have, right? Let's take an example of a laptop or your PC. You may have got a very high RAM onto your laptops, or like the course is up to the next gen i8 or i7, okay, up to that extent. But even if that is the case, and you are running a lot of softwares or like some applications onto your PC, which is giving quite a load onto your resources onto the hardware, your system will seem slow, right? Yes or no? You might have seen that. You might have seen that you have to refresh it or maybe restart the system at a point. The reason behind that is your performance degrades, right? It's not because of your networks and all. It's because your hardware is very occupied. It is trying to process the packet, but it is taking a certain time. That's why you feel that it's slow. The same goes true with any network device. Okay, you may be buying a high-end device where you have a very high, let's say you have 12 cores of CPUs. You have a very high size of an RAM. Still, that doesn't ensure that your device is very fast. No. Your performance of your device is ensured with reference to how optimized is the utilization of your resources. That is what it will ensure. And that is where the FortiGate design comes into picture. Let me draw a quick block diagram onto that. Just a moment. Okay. Just draw a small one. Okay, just have a look on here. That's a pictorial representation. Okay, see. This is your FortiGate firewall. So I'm writing FortiGate in the shortest abbreviation form, that is FGT. Okay. Now, in this, you have a lot of functions into it. Okay. So I'm not going into those routings, policies, and instructions and all those things. I'm not going into that, but just modular pictures here. So if you want to understand this modular structure, let me start with an example of task manager. And if I believe everyone is able to see my task manager. No? Or yes?
No, I can't see your task manager. I cannot.
Fine. Let me reshare, complete the screen then. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay then. See, if I open the task manager, I am like running certain resources, right? I am like running Chrome, I am running PPT, Paints, sticky notes, and something, right? These are the applications, correct? Right? But actually, if you expand that, let's say I'm expanding this, there's a certain process running behind it. For every application, there's a process running behind that. Yes or no? Yes.
Correct.
So that process is running where? Let's say, for an example, I have bought a new laptop or a PC. Can I install any software directly onto it? For an example, Chrome. Can I install Chrome directly onto my laptop? Brand new laptop. There is no operating system, nothing at all. I have hardware, CPU, everything. Can I install the software there? That's not possible, right?
Correct. No.
What I need I need operating system. That is what you do in the first go. If you have a brand system, what do? You install the OS onto it. That can be anything ranging from Windows 7 till Windows 11, right? Whatever suits you best, install that. Once you install the operating system, then only you are able to install other applications. Now, the process which are meant to handle the functioning of those applications can easily execute. Yes or no? Now, see here, just as an example, the NNS process is using a certain CPU or like maybe memory. CPU is 0%, but memory is 0.8. If I go to the Chrome, you see the Chrome is using around 0.3% CPU and 219 MB, right? Yes or no? Zoom is using 36% of a process of CPU. Make sense? So Zoom is an application which is relying on us on an internal process, and that internal process is making use of CPU and memory. CPU and memory is something which you have not installed in the software. That was hardware inbuilt. Yes or no? CPU and memory is your hardware inbuilt, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that your process can only execute or make resource of CPU or like memory useful through the operating system. Correct? The same concept goes in here as well. There may be several processes like antiviruses, IPS, application control, web filtering, routing, policy lookup, matching, traffic shipping, name it. But those processes, even your VPN negotiations, SSL handshakes, okay, your proxy functioning, whatever that the process is, those processes are executing over the FortiOS. The exchange of information with reference to FortiOS, and that is how they are interacting with the CPU. Here, the term SPU means security packet, security processing unit. Okay, that is what it is. Now, saying that, let's say, for an example, and see what is FortiGuard. I missed this point as well. Okay, so see here, this is with reference to FortiGate, right? Now, what is FortiGuard there? Now, FortiGuard is a cloud-based server. Okay, you just think as if it's a cloud-based server which is in constant sync with all the FortiGate firewalls. And what is the use of the FortiGuard? FortiGuard is the server which will provide you the up-to-date database for the antivirus signatures, for the attacks, okay, for the IP ratings, domain ratings, that whether this website domain is good, bad, the rating of that IP is good or bad, okay, something which the firewall cannot decide that, hey, I'm seeing a traffic, but I'm not sure whether it is good or bad. So he is suspicious about that. So he will send the traffic sample to the FortiGuard that, hey, please let me know what to do. FortiGuard will tell you. Okay, this is the internal communication. It does not require your intervention. This is in the backend process. Okay, so you wake up, you go, maybe today you have the antivirus version as an 12 something dot. After 2 hours, you will see that your version is up to date. It has moved higher than that. It happens in the backend. Okay. And when it happens, it does not increase the utilization of the CPU or like memory. It does not. Okay, that's how swift it is. Okay, your FortiGuard can also act as SMTP, NTP. Okay, so if you need the FortiGuard to act as an NTP server, he will do it for you. Okay, now let me show you an example, quick example onto that. See the FortiGuard. Understand its power. Okay, so it is a key component that makes what the FortiGate firewall is today in the market. Okay, let me show you that. For example, let me take as okay, IPS. Let's take an example of an IPS. You see this 24,046 rules, that means signatures. These many attacks has been identified and the signature is existing into its database. And just 3 days ago, a new database was released. Okay. And not only that, see, this has till that it has been able to stop 1026 zero-day attacks. Okay, now that's the big achievement, 0-day. Okay, see, something which you know, okay, you know the face of the intruder. It's not a big deal to stop him, right? You simply have to match his face onto whosoever is coming into your network, right? That's easy. But an unknown threat, you do not know how does it look like, who is he, what his intentions are, you are not sure of that. If you have to stop such attacks, now that's the big deal, right? That is where that such an attack is called 0-day, something which is not known to the entire world. No one knows it, no one has seen it yet, and you are the first person. And if you have the FortiGate firewall, FortiGate firewall is one of the best firewall which has the potential to stop that. You have better chance that you may end up stopping such thing. Okay, so that's the record that it proves. And the best thing about the FortiGuard is that no matter where in part of the world, somewhere sitting in, let's say, Australia region has got something new, automatically that will be notified through the FortiGuard to the entire globe. Okay, you are sitting in US, AMER, PST, EST, IST, whatever the zones that you rely on, that doesn't matter. Everyone will learn about that new threat or new attack or new virus, malwares, whatever that is, in an instant. Okay, so this is how you prevent the spreading of the malwares, viruses, so that if I am impacted, none of my other customers will go through that. Okay, that's how quick it is. This is FortiGuard for you, and it knows everything. Okay, now saying that, let's come back to the architecture part. Just in a small point to discuss in here to give you a brainstorming thoughts in that. Now let's see one example. Okay, there is a packet. Okay, there is an incoming packet. Firewall received it. Firewall did something, right? So let's assume that firewall did route lookup. Okay, he checked the routing. Okay, he also did some policy lookup. Then he checked all the UTM features like AV, IPS, application control, or you might also have deployed the web filter. Okay, he also performed the NATing actions, right? You might also have deployed some traffic shapings and all. Okay, and then he finally decides, after all these checks and all, then he finally decides, okay, fine, the packet can be sent out. Make sense, right? Let's say, now assume to process these traffic, it's like to allow the packets to be checked with all these functions, the firewall took around 5 milliseconds. This is a very big number that I'm giving you. Actually, this is done in microseconds. Okay, but just for the sake of an argument, okay, I'm like taking it as 5 milliseconds. Let's say to perform all these tasks, the firewall took around 5 milliseconds. Now take the router on the other hand. Okay, now let us take the router on the other hand, a simple layer 3 device router. He is also getting a similar kind of a packet. So what he's doing is he's also doing routing. He checks the route, he checks the policy, and he did the NAT, and he sent the packet out. He came up with a verdict, hey, everything is fine, send it out. So of course, since this is a less processes that has to be dealt up on the router, so it might have taken around, let's say, 2 milliseconds. Correct. Now tell me one thing. Does this mean that if I have the firewall, especially here we are talking about the FortiGate, right? So I'm talking about the FortiGate firewall. If I have the FortiGate firewall into my setup, does this mean that are you going to increase the slowness into my network? That is what you're saying. Makes sense? So if I am a company who is dealing in stocks and you are giving me these stats, so what is your argument onto it? You will say that, hey, my device is going to give you a complete sense of an security, right? So of course it will come up at the cost of slowness, a little slowness. That is what you are going to say me. I'm a stock exchange company, man. I deal in the trades. And delay of a single second is also going to cost me millions. Okay, I will throw your device out. Yes or no? Correct. You cannot sell us security at the cost of slowness. That is not possible. Then how all these intensive processes of a firewall is managed without risking the latencies or without adding any significant latency? How does it manage? So please note, your FortiGate firewall model is a TPP based model. Okay, it's a TPP based model. TPP means parallel path processing. Okay, parallel path processing. Parallel path processing means what? So what it does now, actually, when the packet is received, it creates a duplicacy of that packet. And based upon your policy configuration, because most of the actions is applicable on the policies. So based upon the policy configuration and what the traffic that the firewall has received, the firewall decides that what are the collective actions that has to be taken onto that respective packet. And what he will do is, instead that the packet is sent down the line like this, he will send a packet to, let's say, a CP processor. He will say that, hey, CP processor, you just take one packet and perform a certain task. Like, for example, UTM task, NGFW task, he will do that. And he will send another to the NP processor to perform the routing lookup, policy lookup, and likewise, whatever the other task is, NATing and all. Okay. What happens in this approach is that everyone will come up with a verdict at the same time. Okay. At the same time, almost at the same time, they will come up with a verdict. And if any process says, let's say, for example, routing, okay, policy, okay, IPS, okay, AV, fine, but the AV says, no, it's a malware, drop it. So if anyone says no, the entire packet is dropped. That's not a question in there, right? But if everything is green, okay, everything is green, the packet is sent out. That's called parallel path processing. And please note, here in the FortiGate firewall, you are not relying on a single CPU. There are two CPUs. One is the main CPU, and the other one is the hardware CPU, which is also called as ASIC. Okay. Your main CPU has the components like CP and B. Okay. So for example, your CP8 and CP9 processes, these processors, CP means content processor, CP means content processor, and NP means network processor. Okay, clear? Now please note, your network processor will handle all the tasks which do not require NGFW actions. For example, NATing, routing, okay, policy lookup. Clear? These are the examples onto that. Decryption. Make sense? Sorry, not the decryption. It's like NATing, routing, policy lookup, traffic shipping, TS. Okay. These things will be done by your network processor, and your content processor will handle all the tasks that is related to NGFW actions. That means UTM actions. Your antivirus, web filter, IPS, file filter, DNS filter, video filter, decryption, encryption, reading the packets into depth and all. NGFW actions, okay, inspection. That is dealt up by the content processor. Clear? So there's a clear-cut task. Who has to do what? And this is how the FortiGate Firewall manages the complete security while ensuring that the packet is thoroughly analyzed and processed at the same time without adding any significant latencies into your network. So it is fast and secure at the same time. This is what the model is about. Clear? Now, if I'm not sure why someone is not pointing it out, but someone would have asked this, that if you're creating a duplication of the packet, is it not increasing the load on the CPU? Of course it is, right? Just think now, if there is 1000 unique packets that the CPU had to deal with, but because you doubled it, now the CPU has to process 2000 packets. So of course you are utilizing or increasing the CPU resource. Yes or no? So back to a square zero. If the CPU or like memory is overutilized, performance issue, latency. So is it the case? No. That is where the other CPU comes into picture, which is called ASIC. That is hardware CPU or the NPU. And NPU is with the specific models. Okay, so some specific models only will carry this. Every device will not have the NPU processes. Okay, but ASIC is always available. Hardware CPU. It is a chip based. Okay, there are multiple ASICs. It is not that your firewall will only have a single ASIC. There are multiple hardware ASICs inbuilt into your device. Now, what does it do? See, whatever the function that your main CPU does, that is CP and NP has done, it will then hand off or offload that to ASIC. That now you take care of that. Okay. So I have checked this packet, and as per my analysis, this packet has to be sent out from the port 2, and reply packet will look like this. NATing has to be done onto so and so IP, so and so port will be changed. Okay, whatever the verdict that there is. Okay, so it will record that. That record is called session. Okay, so I'm not playing something new. I'm simply saying that a session is created by the CPU, right? That's the information that the session carries. And what will happen is once that session is created, it will offload that session to the hardware CPU so that the main CPU is free. It is now not worried that how I will handle the next incoming packets. Nothing to worry on to that. The hardware CPU will take care of that. Okay. So this is how the performance is enhanced without compromising the device resources up to the highest extent. Clear? Make sense? There is further more onto it, but as of now, I will rest my case in here. Rest all we will discuss in the next upcoming class. So because we had the time till 1 hour itself, so I will rest my case in here. But if you have any doubts onto this, please feel free to ask me that. No doubts. Everything is fine? This is just a small pictorial representation with reference to how the device is designed, okay? That's all. Nothing else. Okay, if there is no question, then I think that we are good to end up our session for the day. Okay, and see you on the class then. Thank you all.